Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 94. On this episode of the podcast, Jenn interviews Brenda Brown from Mystic Waters Ranch in Langley, British Columbia. Brenda works with horses in a modality called FEEL, Facilitated Equine Experiential Learning. FEEL is a way of getting in touch with our own emotions by connecting emotionally with a horse. A horse is a horse, of course, and anyone can talk to a horse, of course, even if the horse isn't named Ed.
Everyone, thanks for listening. It is a gorgeous sunny fall day here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada, and I am happy to be talking to you today about something that does happen outside, and that is healing with horses. And I have my guest Brenda Brown coming up next from Mystic Waters Ranch, and so I'm excited to bring you that. Before I do, I just want to let you know that if you are in the Surrey, British Columbia area, October 19th, which is a Sunday, anytime between 10 and 4, I'd love for you to come by to the Surrey Nature Park and see me at the Communication Diva booth. I've posted the poster on the show notes of this episode, and I've also put it over on the Facebook page, Communication Diva Facebook page. This is a free skills sharing event. So people who are sharing all sorts of skills for free with you in any kind of realm you can think of. There's everything from Reiki to African drumming to singing to repairing your bicycle. And I'm going to be offering a couple of workshops. One of them is actually just a question and answer session on podcasting, and the other one is all about public speaking. So if you are in the British Columbia, in the Surrey area, I would love for you to come by. Let me know that you're a listener and say hello, because it would be fantastic to meet you face to face. And so next I will bring you Brenda. I hope you enjoy this interesting interview. Hi everyone. So here we are in the home studio yet again, and I'm really happy that I'm able to do interviews here now. And I'm here today with Brenda Brown from Mystic Waters Ranch. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you.
So I had a fantastic experience at Brenda's ranch recently, and I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But I want to begin by just asking you, Brenda, to tell us your story. Who are you, and how did you come to be doing what it is you're doing?
Well, as a child, we had a farm, and we had horses. My dad would go to the auction, bring horses home. That was our toys. And this was in Alberta. And so I was very fascinated and very passionate about horses from the very, very beginning of my life. I always couldn't wait for the summertime so I could be out in the pastures with them and following their footsteps and being on their back and riding and being with them. And so I always had this very deep passion. And then we sold our farm and I moved into a small town, and I would go to riding stables and ride horses more and more and more. And I kept bugging my mom, I want a horse, I want a horse, I want a horse, I want a horse so bad. And she kept saying, it's okay, dear, you'll grow out of it.
Oh, I've heard that too.
Mm-hmm. And I keep saying to her, see, Mom, I keep growing more into it.
That's right. That's right.
And so I did what I thought I should do, which was to, get a job and work. And so I worked in offices for many years and wasn't really, really happy. However, I thought, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then I went from realizing that I really needed to follow my heart. So I started to be more in the excitement of restaurant industry and working with clients and customers and having a fun time being with people, because I'm a very people person. And then I got to realize, as much as I love being with people, I missed the horses. And so I had an opportunity to manage a riding stable in Campbell Valley, which is in South Langley. And I ran that for 2 years. And I just realized that this is my calling. I wanted to be more with horses. So I opened up my own ranch, and I had a riding stable called EXP, which stands for Experience Horseback Adventures. And it was about the whole horse, not just about getting on riding, but it was grooming and saddling and the whole, as if you had your own horse. And people loved it because the horses were then honored and cared for. And I really wanted people to see the horses and how majestic they were and what they had to offer. And then it came to a point where I got burnt out and I needed to stop. And so I stopped, shut my ranch down, and went off to work in an office again. And this time it was actually a naturopathic office. So I was able to learn about how to work with clients, and I got all kinds of amazing skills and tools and processes. I got trained to do family constellations, and also got my master's in NLP, which is the neuralistic programming, and became a master at that, and other cool tools. And then it became very aware that the horses were calling me again, and they kept calling me, and so I decided it was time to come back out to the horses. And so I started up Mystic Waters Ranch in 2011 and have been building and cleaning and clearing the land and preparing for working with the horses. And at that time, I didn't know exactly how. And last year, I came across a program called FEEL, which is FEEL, which is the Facilitated Equine Experiential Learning. And when I came across this program, they were actually training in BC, here in Ladner, BC. And I was very excited about it because they also incorporate what you already know in your skills and your tools and who you are in what they offer. And so just as of this Monday, I have now been certified as a FEELS facilitator. And so I'm extremely excited about this.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do then at Mystic Waters and what FEEL is?
FEEL stands for Facilitated Equine Experiential Learning. So it's an experience. You learn by the experience of being with the horses. And so we've been giving different types of activities and processes to work with the horses. So we can show the people how they can actually tune back into their own bodies and start to really trust their intuition again, and to really get into the gut feeling and that gut brain that they have, and really honor themselves for what they bring, their strengths. The horses are really good at mirroring where we're at. And so if we have a lot of self-talk that's not very positive, we call it the false self, that we put ourselves down and we limit ourselves. The horses are really good at mirroring how we're feeling in the moment.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm asking for everyone out there because I've experienced this and I know that it's true, but I'm just, asking the question.
And as they're mirroring that, they're doing it with not judgment. They're just saying, this is what you're saying. This is what your energy is telling me. Because they don't talk. They use nonverbal communication. And so they're saying to you, this is what your energy is saying. And when you get that, then you can change it because you now are aware.
Mm-hmm. So why horses is my question. Like who figured this out? This is incredible. And there's now a whole program around it. There's probably several horse therapy modalities. Why horses?
Why horses? Why horses? Because horses have extremely sensitive energy fields. They are a prey animal. They are a predator. So preys look to them to eat them. So in order for them to feel safe, or to know that they're safe, or to get themselves to safety, they have to know what's in their environment.
You mean the horses are predators?
No, they're prey.
They're prey. Okay.
So they have to watch for predators.
Okay.
And so when they're watching for predators, they have to know whether that predator is hungry, or if it's sleepy, or if it's just relaxing. So they can sense and feel and know this way before anything happens, so that they know whether they should move away from this.
Okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they read energy. They read energy on other animals and on people. So when they see you coming, they don't look at you as just a being. They look at you as an energy, and they feel the energy that you are bringing to them. When you are what we call congruent, which means that you're saying how you're feeling and you're feeling the same way, then they can relax with that. So if you're really scared of a horse and you say to that horse, hey, you really scare me, the horse goes, oh, you're congruent. If you say, oh, I love horses, I'm not scared, but inside you're freaking out, the horse is going to feel the freaking out part of it and get annoyed by that because it's not congruent. So what they want to do is to show us how to be congruent.
And how I'm curious as to who figured this out.
Well, there's a lady by the name of Linda Covino, and she wrote a few books that are absolutely amazing. So I'm going to recommend them. One is called The Tao of Equus, and the other one is called Riding Between the Worlds. And they're amazing because they give you an understanding of how she came around to understanding this energy that they had. She had this stallion that she brought in that was needing to be rehabilitated, and his energy was very heightened and very sensitive. She could not get very close to him or he would attack. Sometimes even just walking by with another horse, he would run up to the round pen that he was in and hit the round pen with his energy and his body and move it. And so he was very highly alert. And so she wanted to use whatever modalities, whatever skills she had to see what she could do to help this horse. And she found that within about 5 feet is where he would be okay with her standing. And then she'd try to go in towards him and he would get heightened again. So she'd stay back. And then she realized when she moved her hand at that distance that he would move. So she actually started working and doing energy massage on him at that level. And then he would relax and he would lick and he would chew and he would give her signals that he was releasing some of the stress in his energy field. And so she started to realize that these horses had these layers of boundaries, and that when we don't respect them, and we have them too, that it becomes hard for them to stay present. And it's for us, if somebody comes charging up to you and you don't know them, it's hard to stay present. You kind of almost leave. So this is about being mindful. And so she was able to understand how the horses were teaching her about these layers. So after with Merlin, she then went into the field with our other horses and found they all had the same energy layers. And so the one where we like to work and get close to is called the personal contact layer. And so we have to honor the other layers. And then when we're at their personal contact layer, then that's when the magic really happens. We can work with them at that level. We make a heart-to-heart connection with the horse, and we start to notice that as we relax and we open our heart and speak from our heart, the horses now tune into us on that level.
Yeah, because I was standing in the center of your ring with a horse that was completely ignoring me. And you asked me the question, are you in your head or in your heart? And of course I was in my head. And you said, get out of your head and open up your heart. And the second I did, the horse turned and walked straight over to me. It was bizarre.
Wasn't that amazing?
It was amazing. It was really quite something. I wouldn't have thought, you know. So what do you do with feel? What can people, how can it benefit people?
Well, there are different activities that we can use with individual clients or in group, and even in corporate. It's really good for team building because you can use the horses as a way of creating team awareness of how people are actually working together or not. And so horses will mirror back what's really happening when in a group. So we have different activities. So we have like an energy round pen when we were working with the layers of the energy. We have a active round pen where we actually get to move the horse at a walk and a trot, just very gently, just to show that we are working with that horse at liberty. There's no ropes to them. There's no lead lines to them. It's just at liberty. And so we're asking for communication and partnership.
With the horse.
With the horse. And then there's the reflective, which is what we worked with you, which is where we go in and we just ask the horse to help us to receive what it is we desire in our heart and our very deepestness of our heart. What is our desire and our depth of our heart to be able to attain that? How can we do that? How can that horse assist us to get to that? Because what stands in our way is usually us.
And I haven't had a whole lot of experience with horses, and they are large animals, and they do make me nervous. And this was the most gentle, sweet horse. And I have never stood cheek to cheek with a horse before, but there I was. And yeah, it was quite remarkable.
Yeah, she was really in your presence, and she was really in her heart with you. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole thing, is when we go into our hearts, they go into their hearts, because we have a heart resonance. And our heart resonance is actually stronger than our brain resonance. It's actually 5,000 times stronger. So we have electric and magnetic energy. And so we were looking at the brain. Oh yeah, the brain has all this energy, but our heart is actually stronger. And then the horses' hearts are even stronger than that. So they really honor us when we go into our heart, because then that's where they like to live.
So you have that, and are there any other methods that you have?
As far as,
because we listed the round pen, and we
activities.
listed
So we have the reflective. We have an obstacle course as well.
Right.
So an obstacle course would help you to set a goal of what you want to achieve, and then what is it that stands in the way of getting that goal. And so then we would set up the obstacle course, and then we would bring a horse in. And you pick the horse depending on how you're feeling, because you may think, oh, I want that horse. But then you go in and you check in your heart and you check with the horse, and they'll let you know who's wanting to work with you. So we call it who shows up. And sometimes they show up, like literally come through a gate to show up. Or they'll start getting their halter and nibbling at their halter for you. Yes, me, it's me. So they're very cool ways for them to show you that they're ready to work with you and they're the one. And so then we would take the horse through that obstacle course, and it would show you what your blocks are and how to move through those blocks. And then when you get your goal, then now you feel what it feels like to have that in your body. So it is done.
So do you have a story from something like that? Is there a story you could share without naming names? Is there?
Well, I worked with a lady yesterday, and in her obstacle course, she had an obstacle course outside of the round pen and her goal inside the round pen. And her obstacle was about how is she going to work with herself in her physical body, her emotional body, her mind, and her soul. How can she work through some of the traumas that she's had in her life to become and get her goal, which is to be able to hold that energy of love and unconditional love in her space and not have anybody pop her balloon or to distort her balloon or her energy field. And so she worked with a horse that also has an issue of dissociation and trauma. And so both of them together were working through layers. So they would walk around and they would the horse would stop at different layers, at different areas. So at the emotional, or in between the emotional and the mind, and how that emotional and mind aren't working together and how to get it to work together. And then at the soul, and how to retrieve some of the parts of their soul that had been missing, had been traumatized out. And so recalling their soul. And they walked around this, and they did it about 3 times. And then they went towards the goal, which is into the round pen, and walked around and then released and started to bring in a different awareness of how they're going to be when they achieve their goal. Went to their goal, stood on top of their goal, which was a stepping stool, and that was able to own that energy of, now I have this. I have the ability to hold this energy in this unconditional love. And then the horse was set free to be able to do what it needed to do to show her how to keep maintaining that place. And then when they were finished, they walked out, and then they walked again over to the other obstacle course. And this time it was way bigger, and they were able to flow around that whole piece without any interference, any stopping. And so it had integrated into her body and into her emotions and into her mind and into her soul.
Wow.
It was a very powerful session for her.
So how do people communicate with horses? Like, how do horses communicate with us? I mean, they're reading the energy, but how do we know? I mean, this is what you just trained in, right? How do you know when a horse does a particular thing, what it's telling us?
And so reading the horse's behavior is a big thing, because horses are nonverbal. They will call, they will nicker and things like that, but that's just a little bit of verbal. And most people don't know how to read a horse whinny or a nicker. So most of it's nonverbal. So it'll be by licking. They lick and chew when you're thinking about something that's accurate, and they're trying to confirm that to you. So they'll lick and chew because the energy shifts. They'll yawn when they're releasing, because a lot of times we hold tension in our jaw. So they're yawning, and they'll release energy that way. They may go up to an obstacle or a wand or a crop and pick up that and say, hey, you need to have clearer boundaries. Or, there are different directions they may face, because we have different directions and meanings for the directions. They may stand to you heart to heart, and you just know in your body that this horse is there. They may even put their hand on your chest, their head on your chest. I usually had one girl who actually, the horse came up and used her muzzle, her nose, and actually did like circles on her heart, and then circles on her solar plexus. And she was opening up the energy in her heart and her solar plexus. And she was just buzzing.
I had the horse just breathing into my heart. She just stood there with her nose, and I could feel her hot breath blowing into my heart. It was amazing.
And sometimes they'll grab at energy. Sometimes they'll look like they're going to bite you, but they're actually pulling energy off where you've got pain. So they'll come up to an injured area, and they'll let you know it's injured, and they can kind of nibble at that and try to pull that energy out of there, because it's just stuck energy that's not allowing the body to heal. So they're pretty powerful. They're pretty accurate about what they see and what they feel and how they communicate.
So the clients that you have are coming from, from where and with what kinds of, just sort of a range of issues?
Yeah, it is a range of issues. It is everything from post-traumatic stress, traumas, to relationships, to businesses that want to get more empowered in their business, or to figure out what it is they're doing that's not allowing their business to grow. They work. It doesn't matter how old the person is. It can be young, because they don't have any judgment on age. So it's a wide range of self-development and personal growth that people that are looking for that can come and experience this.
Yeah, because it's not something I would immediately think of. I would think of a therapist, or I would think of, a psychologist or a psychiatrist, which all has to do with mainly the mind. So this kind of thing would not be sort of in my sphere of consciousness had I not met you.
Exactly.
Right. So is it very widespread, this treatment?
It is becoming more and more widespread, and we're actually finding that we're getting psychotherapists and physiotherapists, but psychotherapists and clinical psychologists are starting to incorporate this in their work, because they're finding that this is really helping their clients to create new pathways in the brain, because it actually helps to shift the neurological pathways in the brain. So it's a modality that is actually becoming more and more widespread as time goes on.
And so how many are there, practicing around, say, in North America? Do you know?
I don't know, because there are different groups that are facilitating trainings. Horse Spirit Connections is who is in Ontario, and they've done many years of training now, so they have a lot of therapists in their area over there, and they've got some people in the States and as well. There's Linda's group that is training downstate, and I'm sure that there's a few other places where they're training. I don't have all that information,
but it's growing.
It's growing. It's a growing modality, and it's a conjunctive. It is not a replacement for anybody. If you're actually seeing a medical doctor or a psychologist, it's not a replacement for that, and yet it is something that is very helpful.
So if someone is listening who can't come to Mystic Waters Ranch, but would like to take something away from the work that you're doing, what would you tell them?
I would suggest that to really look at animals in a different light, especially if you have a horse or a mule or a donkey, anything like that, even if they're like part of your team as far as carrying your wood or carrying your products to market. Look at them a little differently. Look at them with a heart, and understand that they have feelings, and they want to be a part of your environment in a different way. They want to show you that they love unconditionally, and that they would love to receive your love and gentleness and kindness. And so, look to your animals a little bit differently, and really respect sometimes that they're holding space for you, of that sacred possibility that you can be even more than what you are, more loving, more kind, more compassionate. So it makes no difference if you're actually with a therapist or just with your own animal. The healing happens.
So how does a person who's never thought about this before, never done anything like this, who doesn't have access to a therapist like you, how does a person make that connection with their animal?
They just have to go up to them and just talk to them and just tell them what they're feeling and open their hearts to them and just allow that breath of heart to go through from their heart to the animal's heart, and just be willing to listen to what the animal has to say. There's no right, there's no wrong way to do it. There's just a way of just being with them and just honoring them and as these amazing, aware beings that can assist us.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. I've been out to a therapeutic riding center and interviewed a woman who is an occupational therapist. I can't remember what episode number it is, but her name is Pippa Hodge, and she does work with mostly children who have disabilities with the horses. And, some of even what she was saying about the children feel more powerful when they're sitting on top of a very large creature, especially children who are usually sitting in a wheelchair looking up at people. Just being up on top of the horse gives them a sense of power. It was mostly physical stuff that we were talking about there, and how good the horse was for the muscles and the body movement of the child and the exercise and all of the rest of it. But this is much more of a spirit connection, isn't it?
A heart and soul connection, yes, absolutely. And horses are healing, whether you're on their back or beside them, because their energy and their heart resonance is so large. And so those children that are on their back, absolutely, they're receiving this healing as well. They're just also receiving the physical healing as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing because we've used horses for years and years and years for our own purposes. I mean, I guess this is this sounds more mutual.
It is. It's a partnership. It's about co-creating healing for both of us. So it's about being able to receive as well as to give. So the horses also will receive healing from clients as well, because it helps them to shift. It helps them if they can't cry. So if they're holding sadness and a client is crying, it helps the horse to release that too. So it's co-creative together, and it's so magical because it's not just it's not one way. It's both ways.
There's a line from the creed. Some of the listeners will know that I'm a minister in the United Church, and one of the lines in our creed says that we are to live with respect in creation. And this sounds like it is full of respect going both ways.
Absolutely, and I love that saying. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite lines in the whole creed. Okay, well, I want to know where people can find out more about you, Brenda.
Well, I have a website, and that's mysticwatersranch.com. And I also have a newsletter that you can sign up. So I will be giving more information on a monthly basis through the newsletter. So if you want to contact me or want to sign up, please go to my website, mysticwatersranch.com.
Great. And I've been to Mystic Waters, as I said before, and it's a lovely setting. Here we are in rural South Langley, which is in British Columbia, Canada, for those of you who are listening. And it is, you have how many horses there?
There's 5.
There's 5, yeah. And you've got a lovely barn that's a meeting space as well. And
yes,
you do all sorts of workshops and things there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so head on over to mysticwatersranch.com and check out all the amazing things that Brenda and her companions are doing. Thanks again, Brenda, for coming on to Communication Diva.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
So thanks for listening, and I do encourage you to go over and check out Brenda's website, even if you are not anywhere near her ranch. She has interesting tidbits on her newsletters and is very much willing to engage with people around the world on how they too can communicate better with their horses and other animals, and how they can promote healing through that medium. So do check it out. She'd love to hear from you. And I think the whole thing is just fascinating and amazing. So I'm intrigued and definitely sold on the idea. So thank you for listening. If you're interested at all in learning more about podcasting and sharing your story through this medium, we have some promos for you on the Communication Diva website. You can go over to the communicationdiva.com under resources, and you will find links with promo codes that will give you discounts on things like hosting for websites through Bluehost, and also through Libsyn, the platform that I use to host my podcast. Also on there, my friend Cliff Ravenscraft has podcasting A to Z. Well, in the US, it's A to Z. And he does an intensive class teaching session. You can do this virtually, but it is a small number of people that he works with on a regular basis over, I think it's a 4-week period, where he teaches you absolutely everything you need to know about how to become an expert podcaster. He does this for a living, and he's an amazing person. He has many podcasts out there himself, and he is called the Podcast Answer Man. So if you're interested in that, check out Cliff's offerings. There is a $500 discount for anyone who signs up through the Communication Diva website. Until next time, I encourage you to go find a horse and give it a kiss. and I hope you do come by and say hi if you're in the area on the 19th of October, 2014. And otherwise, keep talking. And I hope that you find some skill-building advice, you get some entertainment out of this, and that you come on over to the website sometime and just say hello. Take good care and talk soon.